In this podcast, you'll learn 12 fixed expressions that will help you sound more like a native English speaker. Welcome to Aprender Inglés with Lynn and Craig. Hello and welcome to the podcast, especially if this is your first time listening. Regular listeners of the podcast will notice that Reza is still not back from visiting his family in Belfast. But in the meantime, thank you to all of you for your very kind messages saying that you miss Reza. I miss him too. It seems like donkey's years since we've recorded podcasts together, and donkey's years means a long, long time. But I'm sure we'll be back on the microphone together very, very soon. However, this week, I'm very happy to have Lynn from putitlikethis.com on the podcast. Actually, this podcast is a re-edited version of a live stream that Lynn and I did about 2 months ago, in which we introduced and we practiced 12 useful fixed expressions. Expressions like loud and clear, short and sweet, nice and easy, etc. Lynn and I will be back streaming live again in September this year, 2022. We'll be back with more live streams. And if you're interested in watching those, they are free on the internet. And to watch them and see the replay, go to either facebook.com/Mansion Inglés, or you can check out the Mansion Inglés YouTube channel, where they are also streamed to. That's youtube.com La Mansion del Inglés. Remember, you can see all of the expressions we talk about in this episode and Lynn's website address at putitlikethis.com in the show notes for this episode over at inglespodcast.com/426. So, sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, cup of tea, or a nice gin and tonic, and enjoy this podcast episode about fixed expressions with Lynn from putitlikethis.com.
Today we're talking about fixed expressions, and sometimes in grammar they're called binomial. Now these expressions are very special because basically you just have to remember these two words, but the two words always come in a certain order. So you've got to get them in the right order. For example, pros and cons. We never say cons and pros. We say pros and cons. Pros and cons, maybe you've heard of before. It means advantages and disadvantages.
Another example could be black and white. For example, look at this black and white photograph. We don't say white and black photograph. I don't know if it's the same in your language, but in English, these words follow a particular order. And that's why we're looking at these today, because you can learn idioms and you can try to use idioms in conversation, and that's fantastic. But it's not so easy sometimes to get the context right with idioms, is it, Lynn? Sometimes these binomials are much easier to use in writing and in conversation.
Yeah, that's right. The problem with idioms sometimes is that when you haven't had a lot of contact in England or an English-speaking country or in America or whatever, people use idioms in certain contexts with certain register. So there are certain situations where it's not appropriate to use the idiom. And so they're a bit of I call it a minefield, like a minefield, where the bombs explode, You think you're doing it right, but really you've got it wrong. And so sometimes I advise my students to kind of understand idioms, but be very careful about trying to use the idiom if they're really not sure of the right context. Now, the expressions that we've chosen today are not really like that, are they, Craig? Because these ones
No.
I think are a lot easier. You can put these in and you sound really natural and really English, as long as, of course, you get them in the right order.
In the right order, yeah. Otherwise, it
it
sounds
is
a bit
important to get
silly.
it in the right order. But from the context, it's pretty straightforward to use these, and you can sound really good in English, quite fluent if you drop these ones in now and again.
So we've divided these expressions into 4 separate groups: positive meanings, negative meanings, similar words, and what was the last one?
Some same words.
Same words. Looking at group 1 then, positive meanings. Now, the first one you queried when I sent this to you, Lynn, you said, "Is this like a positive one?
Is it
It's
positive?
loud." And can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's fantastic. Now that's positive.
Yeah, that's positive.
Surely. Now it could be sarcastic, I suppose. There could be another meaning to it, but I think generally it's positive.
Yeah, so loud and clear. Loud is to do with the volume, and clear is to do with the quality. Is it clear or is it mumbled, right? So loud and clear is a very emphatic expression, and it means that you're communicating clearly and the message is super clear, isn't it? I think that's what it means, loud and clear. But when I queried it with you, Craig, it was because in little family arguments, well, I'll do it this way. I'll tell you when my daughters are being sarcastic with me. So I'm a mum, and then sometimes mums, we are a little bit like a stuck record. So we repeat ourselves, In the olden days, there's lots of young people here, but before CDs, even before Spotify, there were CDs. Before CDs, there were records. And sometimes if they got stuck, you heard the same thing over and over and over again.
Record.
So sometimes there's an expression in English and you say, I'm sounding like a stuck record, which means I'm repeating myself. So in my house, sometimes as a mother, it's a natural thing to do. I end up repeating myself and I keep saying like, have you cleaned your room? Have you cleaned your room? Have you cleaned your room yet? And then, repeating it. And then my daughters might say, yes, we heard you loud and clear.
Yeah.
And they are being like a little bit sarcastic. So this expression loud and clear, it can be used positively, but sometimes it's a little bit sarcastic, and it means you don't have to repeat yourself again because we understood the first time.
Exactly. And maybe you're on Zoom doing a job interview or speaking in English and somebody says, can you hear me okay? That's usually the first thing people say when they connect.
That's right.
Can you see me? Can you hear me? So, I can hear you loud and clear. Or if you're giving a presentation, can you hear me at the back? Yep, we can hear you loud and clear. That's our first expression. Nice and easy. How did the exam go today? Oh, yeah, it was easy. It was nice and easy.
Nice and easy, which means that it was pleasant, wasn't it? And it wasn't difficult. And it was nice. But the word nice also has this idea of emphasizing that it was easy. Another use of nice and easy is sometimes when people are reversing in the car. Have you ever done that? You're reversing maybe into a very tight spot and somebody might be behind the car trying to help you. And when they want to encourage you to drive or reverse slowly and steadily, right? So not like fast and jerky, but nice and steadily. Then they might say, come on, nice and easy. Yeah, you're getting in, nice and easy. And we often use it in that context, don't we, Craig?
We do, and it kind of means carefully, because imagine you're carrying a box of something that's easily broken, maybe china or glass. Put it down nice and easy. reverse the car nice and easy. We're really
Like
saying just
slowly,
be careful, take your
steadily.
time,
Uh-huh.
steadily. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do
So
it
there's like
nice and
two
easy.
meanings there, isn't there? One meaning means it was simple, and the other meaning means steadily, slowly, carefully. Nice and easy.
Nice and easy does it.
Mm-hmm.
Our next expressions, talking about houses, probably bedrooms, kitchens, places where you work, your desk, clean and tidy, neat and tidy, and spick and span. They're very similar, aren't they? And they generally mean keep everything clean and keep everything in its place. Don't be
Uh-huh.
messy. Now, my
Mhm.
desk is usually tidy, but it's very rarely clean because there's lots of dust everywhere, and I don't like dusting. So things are dusty, but they are in their correct place. But it needs to be clean and
And
tidy. So I
tidy.
need to clean it. Yeah, it needs to be both, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I like clean and tidy places. And my mum was very house proud, her house, and was always spick and span. So every time my mother, she doesn't visit me anymore because it's too far for her to come. But when she used to come for a visit, I always had to be extra careful, make sure my house was spick and span so that my mother wouldn't criticize me.
Have you ever said to your daughters, I want your bedroom looking neat and tidy or
Oh,
clean and tidy when I
absolutely.
get back?
Yeah. And usually they're quite good, actually. Often when I've come back from holiday, I've been pleasantly surprised and I say, oh, wow, you've left the house spick and span.
I've been to your house a couple of times and it's always
Mhm.
looked neat and tidy and clean and tidy and spick and span. The
Huh?
last one in this group, the first group, is short and sweet. So his presentation was short and sweet. It wasn't long and it was good. If something's
Mhm.
short and sweet, it doesn't take a long time. It's not overly long and it's very good.
And it's not
And
boring.
yeah,
It's pleasant, short and sweet. And there is another context where I use this a lot is sometimes when you make a telephone call to somebody, or maybe you're in a work environment and you're knocking at somebody's office door because you need a word with them, but you know that they're very busy. So sometimes you say to them, hi, listen, I'll keep this short and sweet, but I want to know, can you meet me tomorrow? Okay. So sometimes you say, I'll keep this short and sweet. You can also say that at the beginning of a presentation, or you can say it on the telephone to somebody, or you can say it to somebody if you interrupt them. Okay. I'll keep it short and sweet. And it means that you're not going to keep the person waiting a long time, or you're not going to disturb them for very long.
the meeting was short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
So there we have our first four. Now,
Because now
okay.
we're going to test you. Are you ready?
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to say the first word and we'll see if you can shout it out. Obviously, we can't hear you, but anybody who's around you might wonder what you're saying. So I'm going to test you. Loud and. Come on, Craig. Tell them the answer.
Clear, loud and
Loud
clear.
and clear. Okay. Next one. Nice and.
Easy.
Good. Clean and.
Tidy.
Good. Spick and.
Span.
Neat and.
Tidy.
Tidy. Short and.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Short and sweet. Good. Group 2.
Okay, now we're moving from positive expressions to negative meanings. Now, we use these binomial expressions often when we are describing or talking about negative things. Now, if a person has maybe lost a lot of weight recently and they're not looking particularly healthy, you could say, oh, look at that poor man over there. He's all skin and bones. So we don't say bones and skin. I don't know why, but the order of this expression with all of these expressions is fixed. We say skin and bones, and it's negative. If someone is too thin, they're too slim, they've lost too much weight, we say, oh, they are all skin and bones. And we say all, don't we? We say they're all skin and bones.
All skin and bones.
Yeah, there's nothing of them. They're skin and bones. They've lost too much
And we
weight.
can use that also not just of people, but also animals. You know, sometimes you see animals and you say, oh, look at that dog. It's all skin and bones. And it means it's very, very thin.
I went to India when I was in my early 20s, and I came back from India all skin and bones because I didn't eat much. I was on a very, very strict budget. I didn't have much money. So I only had one meal a day, just some rice and vegetables. And I came back, I'd lost a lot of weight, and I was all skin and bones.
That happened to me too when I first went to live in Africa. But it was because I couldn't cook for myself in Africa because there was no electricity and there was no refrigeration. So if you wanted to eat chicken, you had to buy a live chicken and kill it. And I didn't know how to do that. Nor do I think I could do it. And there weren't supermarkets. And I found it really difficult at first, actually, just to feed myself. And within the first month as well, I was a bit skin and bones. And it wasn't because there wasn't food. There was food. But it's because I didn't know how to, of course, here to go into the supermarket and buying pasta and buying this and that. And because there was different types of food on offer. And it was really crazy, but I just didn't know how to cook for myself.
Yeah, no, I've been in a few
I became
supermarkets
skin
in Africa.
and bones.
It's difficult to know what to buy. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You should have a personal story. Yeah, that's because that's because I'm old, and when you get old,
we're the same age.
When you get old, you do tend to collect some stories. And another thing you do when you get old is you start making noises when you get up from a chair and when you sit down in a chair or on the sofa. I don't know if you've got experience of this, Lynn, but I
think that's very actually. That's very male.
But you know why
man size.
No,
we call them man size.
It's called aches. It's called aches and pains. When I get up and I go, when I get up and I sit down, I so these sounds that I make is because my body, I've got aches and pains. So again, that's another fixed expression. And that just means parts of your body is bothering you a little bit. There's a little bit of maybe bone degradation going on. You're kind of feeling some of the aches and pains in your body because of your age. Yeah.
And an ache, if people don't know, it's a strange pronunciation, ache. And the spelling is a bit strange, isn't it? An ache, we have the two words. The two words exist separately. A pain is often a momentary feeling, a pain. But a one that is over a longer period, so it's still a pain, but it's over a longer period, that's usually described as an ache. So, of course, you've heard of the word headache because it's constantly there, or stomach ache because you've got a pain that's been going on for some minutes, hours, days in the worst case. Whereas a pain can be a sudden, sharp pain. It comes, it's a feeling, and then it goes away. And then in this expression, aches and pains means it doesn't matter how long, you've got them all the time. Doesn't it? Yeah.
Aches and pains.
Aches and pains. Okay, next one, the next negative one.
Well, sick and tired. Now, sick, it's not physically sick. It's just when you get those two words together as a fixed expression, it just kind of means you're fed up. You've had enough. You're up to here. If you are a Spanish speaker, it means harto. It's too much. I'm sick and tired of the noise my neighbors make every morning at 6 o'clock, for example.
Means you can't stand it anymore. You've had enough,
No puedo soportar.
You can't bear it anymore. You can't tolerate it. Sick and tired. Okay. And the last negative one.
And the last one, wear and tear. Now, the pronunciation might be a bit tricky here. Think of focus on the vowel sounds, an E and an A in both words. It's air.
Air.
Wear and tear.
Wear and tear. But the word tear, that same spelling, has another meaning, tear, but it has
Which
a
is a
different
different sound.
pronunciation, but it has the same spelling. Tear is the water that comes out of your eyes, but tear is when you do this. When you tear a piece of paper. Now, this expression, wear and tear, refers to if you have something and you use it a lot, then it gets old and it starts to degrade. So the quality gets less and it gets a little bit worn. So this can happen, for example, with clothes. If you wear them a lot, then gradually they start to, maybe the color fades, maybe you start to get little holes in the fabric. So it can apply to clothes, but it can also apply to electric appliances. So if you've had a washing machine for a long time, maybe the knobs on the washing machine don't work quite as well. Maybe the door doesn't close as well as it did when it was new. Now, all of those things are wear and tear, because through the usage or the life cycle of your product, it has begun to get damaged or has little tiny defects.
I'm noticing the wear and tear on my car because it's 10 years old now. I just had it serviced. I had an MOT and a service. And yeah, there were things that were wearing on my car. So I can notice the wear and tear on the engine, on the brakes, on the bodywork of the car because it's old. And with time, the wear and tear of the years is noticeable.
And often you see those words in insurance policies or guarantees, because sometimes they will guarantee your product for 5 years. But then if you read the small print, it says normal wear and tear is not included. So, for example, I don't know, if you have maybe a sofa and it's guaranteed for 5 years, maybe the fact that the cushions get softer, you can't claim on your guarantee. If it completely breaks, then maybe you can claim on the guarantee. But wear and tear is natural usage or natural wastage. That's not covered in the guarantee.
Maybe it's the wear and tear on my body that's causing all the aches and pains I'm experiencing.
It could be. Maybe you need to eat more and stop being skin and bones.
I wish I was skin and bones. Right, are we going to...
We're going to test now. We're going to test now. Are we ready to test? Right. Are you ready, everybody? Sick and?
Tired.
Skin and?
Bones. Remember, you have to shout these words out.
They are, I'm sure. I can hear the word.
I can hear you from Valencia shouting. I can hear Heidi in Buenos Aires shouting out, bones, bones.
Right. Aches and?
Pains.
Wear and?
Tear.
Good. Wear and tear. Great.
Wear and tear.
Okay.
Right, let's move on to group 3, which is about
similar sounds. Similar words. Similar words.
So
these have actually the same meaning, and we use them doubled up to add emphasis, really. Okay.
Exactly.
So here we've got
safe and sound.
Safe and sound. And if you're
safe and sound.
And it means that you're completely out of danger. And sound, if you are sound, it means that you are intact, that nothing's damaged, you're complete. So safe and sound means that you're out of danger.
When I go and visit my sister, she lives about 2 hours drive from Valencia. So she always says to me, when you get home, text me a message and let me know you arrived okay. So I always say, hello, Steph. I arrived safe and sound, Craig. So I arrived safe and sound. I'm in one piece. I'm okay. There's no problem. And I'm safe. Yeah.
And my mum used to always say, did you get back safe and sound? Did you get back safe and sound? Have you arrived or did you get back?
Okay, I think the next one is something that Lynn and I are looking forward to when we have our summer break, and that's some peace and quiet. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Although, my holidays, I like adventure holidays, really.
Oh, this year I just want some peace and quiet. I just want to relax.
I want peace and quiet from work, but I like activity. So I'll probably be having activity, but it'll be a different type of things. But sometimes it's nice to have peace and quiet. And peace, obviously, I think most people know peace, peace man, isn't it? Peace is like no noise. You want it to be very calm, very tranquil, no noise, some peace and quiet.
What do you do when you need some peace and quiet? Is there a place you go? Is there a thing you do? Do you listen to music? Do you go out for a long walk? What do you do? Do you read when you want some peace and quiet?
For me, I think probably I would go out, because the thing is, we've got a big household here with there's 5 of us that live together. So if you want peace and quiet, you have to leave. What about you? What do you do?
I've been trying to meditate recently. I used to meditate years ago, and I got out of the habit, and I find a quiet place, and I've been trying to meditate. I'm finding it quite difficult to get to that level of peace and quiet that I'm looking for, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to persist.
Or
and
maybe
keep
when you're on
that.
holiday, maybe you can.
Yeah. And what's happening to me at night quite a lot is I'm tossing and turning in bed because I haven't found that peace and quiet I'm looking for. So if you toss and turn in bed, you're constantly moving. You can't relax. You can't settle. So when you are on holiday, on your activity holidays, Lynn, do you tend to get up bright and early, or do you lay in bed late and get up late?
Somewhere in the middle. Usually when I'm working, I am up bright and early every morning. Now, obviously early in the day, so not late. I get up about 6:45, yeah.
Wow.
And I'm a morning person. So usually when I get up, I'm quite optimistic as well. I usually am quite bright. And bright means like it's got that optimistic touch to it, hasn't it? When we say bright and early. So when we say bright and early, it means, please, can you get up early and be in a good mood? So we say, right, tomorrow we're going to start bright and early. I want everybody here at 9:00. For example. So when we use that expression bright and early, we mean early in the day. And we also have a feeling of you have to be in a good mood.
Exactly. Yeah. And bright, of course, is the opposite to dull. You can have a bright light that's in your eyes and almost blinds you. It's very bright. The sun is very bright. But when you put on sunglasses, then you dull the light, so it's not so bright. So it's a very positive, very happy word, bright and early.
Do you get up bright and early on holiday?
No. I don't. I like to get up late and relaxed.
Yeah.
Although I don't always have the choice, though. I mean, if it's a holiday where there's an activity to do, then I have to get up early. But I'm not always bright when I do it. So I'm not an early bird for sure. No, I don't like getting up early, but I do when I have to. Now, next one: bits and pieces. Or odds and ends.
So these are things that are unimportant, aren't they? You can use this to refer to objects, or you can use it to refer to tasks. So things you have to do. So I might say, but usually it's like unimportant, unconnected things, random things. So, for example, Craig might say to me, have you been busy today? And I'll say, I was doing a few bits and pieces, which means I was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but not a main project. I was doing lots of bits and pieces. Or I can also say odds and ends. I was doing lots of odds and ends. Is that a good definition, Craig, or would you say something else?
No, perfect. I've got one or two more examples to add some more examples. You could say if you break a glass and it falls on the floor, you can say that be careful, there are bits and pieces of glass all over the floor. You can also give somebody some bits and pieces of information. There can be some odds and ends in the fridge, like food. Maybe you should eat the odds and ends before you go on holiday, finish off the food. I bought some batteries, I bought a memory card, and a few other odds and ends for the trip. So bits and pieces, odds and ends, the extra things, the little things that you don't need to specify.
And they're not really joined. So, for example, you can also say for a meal, or what should we eat tonight? Or let's just have some bits and pieces. And that means that you're not having like a meal. You're not having a specific meal like spaghetti bolognese or a lasagna. You're just going to have maybe a bit of cheese and a bit of bread and a bit of ham, just anything that you find in the fridge. Right, Craig, you test me now this time on this one. Go on.
Okay. Safe and
sound.
Peace and
quiet.
Bright and
early.
Bits and
pieces.
Odds and
ends. Right, the very last group then.
The last group, group 4, these words are the same, so they're very easy to remember. The testing part of this is going to be very easy.
It's going to fail, isn't it?
If anyone fails this, then you need to go back to the drawing board. Craig and Lynn, they go on and on. They don't stop talking. And this often goes with droning. There's a verb to drone, which is if you've ever been to a university lecture or you've heard a presentation that's really, really boring, you can say, oh, the professor or the teacher just went on and on and on about the same thing, and he or she was droning on about. So it's this idea of boring repetition, to go on and on about something, to keep on repeating and saying the same thing.
And the opposite of on and on, of course, is, will you stop going on and on? Can you not keep it
to yourself?
Short and sweet. Craig, wake up. Wake up.
I missed that opportunity, didn't I? Short and sweet.
He missed it. I hope somebody is paying attention to me out there and got that.
I was too slow off the mark.
The opposite of going on and on is
short
to keep
and
it
sweet.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we're learning English, and I know you have to take it day by day, or even step by step, or little by little. So,
there's 3 there, isn't it? Step by step.
Very similar. They're very similar. Yeah.
Little by little and
piece
day by
piece.
day.
Yeah.
Piece by piece.
And
we've got
the same words are repeated. So, keep going. Slow and steady wins the race. Keep incorporating words into your vocabulary, and step by step, you'll be a very good English speaker. 2 more to go. Face to face.
All right, face to face. Now, face to face is
in
when
person.
you in person, basically. So nowadays, I'm an online teacher exclusively, and I don't do any face-to-face classes anymore. Face-to-face classes were when I was in the classroom, and so unfortunately we're doing remote classes now. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, I enjoy the remote classes. I think
me too. But there is something about face-to-face teaching when you're in person with a student. There's this dynamic in the classroom, and the students are interacting with one another, and they can do board work activities and mingle and do group work and pair work. So there's something quite dynamic about face-to-face teaching that I miss. But as Lynn said, teaching on the internet, as we both do now, has its advantages as well. So
most of my students, the majority, I only teach 1-to-1, which means I only have 1 student. And so I think online that can be really, really beneficial because it's very intense. But I agree with you. When I have a group, I feel I'm better in person because you get more dynamism going as well when you're face to face.
So you can have a face-to-face meeting, you can have face-to-face English classes, face-to-face lessons.
That's another expression which means face to face, in the flesh.
In the flesh, yeah.
In the flesh, that's right. It's not a binominal like we're talking about, but it means exactly that. Okay.
And the last one we have is arm in arm. So obviously this is your hand, this is your arm, and if you walk with someone arm in arm, then you link or connect arms together. For example, we walked arm in arm and she went on and on about how we need to buy a new dining room table.
And I told them to keep it short and sweet because I'm sick and tired of her going on and on about the dining room table.
I know. Yeah. I just want some peace and quiet sometimes, don't we?
Oh, we absolutely do.
So if you're walking arm in arm with somebody who's close to you, then your arms are linked as you're walking along. Also hand in hand. You're holding each other's hand.
Arm in arm.
So shall we test people?
Big test, right? Are you ready? Right? And we're going to go fast. So we're going to keep it snappy and short and sweet. Are you ready? You ready, Craig?
I'm ready.
Right. I'm going to mix them all up, right? Okay, to make it more difficult. So, peace and...
Am I going to say the answer? Or?
You're going to say the answer, but don't give them so long. You gave them longer before. Now we're going to... Right?
Shorten it down.
Peace and...
Quiet.
Sick and...
Tired.
Aches and...
Pains.
Loud and...
Clear.
Short and...
Sweet.
Neat and...
Tidy.
Spick and...
Span.
Short and...
Sweet.
I thought you were going to say fat, but you didn't. I was trying to catch you. Right.
I learned my lesson.
Bright and...
Early.
Odds and...
Ends.
Step.
By step. No?
No. Yeah, absolutely. But you had to think, didn't you? They're the ones that are just repeated.
You threw me.
That was easy.
You threw me. How mean was that? Step by step, little by little.
Face to.
Face.
On and.
On.
Right, that was easy. Right, now the last phase of the test, because I am an examiner, you know. Craig keeps it easy. I'm testing you now, right?
Yeah.
I am going to define the phrase and then see if you can get it right. So when you are very, very thin, you are all...
Skin and bones.
Here's the next one then. When you don't stop and you're boring everybody and you're talking and you're talking and you're talking, what are you doing?
Teaching English.
On and on. Well
on
done.
and on. Yeah.
Okay.
On and on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Right. So you have made a very long journey. It wasn't easy. There were lots of obstacles. Your mother is worried about you. Finally, you get home and you ring her up. What does your mother say to you? Did you arrive?
Both words begin with S. Safe and sound. Very good.
Sound. Perfect.
You've got it. Well done.
Okay. Right. Now, my daughters, you know, I want to let you know that your rooms are all extremely clean and I'm very happy with you. Your rooms are clean and tidy.
Clean and tidy. Clean and tidy.
Neat and tidy. But what's the other one? What's the other one? The one that goes
spick.
Spick and span.
Fantastic. Well done.
Right. Well, I think that's it now. Shall we keep it short and sweet?
Let's keep it short and sweet this week. We'll finish there. Just before we say goodbye, we'll remind you who we are and where we're from. My name's Craig. As I said on the podcast, Reza unfortunately had COVID. He's now recovered. He's fine. But it's been really difficult to get together. So the last few weeks, we've had guests. We've published some older material that we had saved for emergencies. And I really hope that Reza will be back recording from next week. So fingers crossed.
I'm Lynn. I'm from putitlikethis.com. I do online classes, and the thing that I specialize in is tailor making the courses. So depending on what your specific need is, if you want to improve fluency, or maybe you want to improve your pronunciation or your writing, or maybe you want to do an exam, depending on that specific need, then I'll create a course just for you, all right, to try to help you reach your objective as efficiently and quickly as possible. I'm going on holiday, so I haven't got any classes in August, but I will be back for classes in September. So if anybody's interested in starting classes with me in September, then they're very welcome to contact me. But hopefully I shall come back safe and sound in September.
With your batteries recharged for another academic year.
And then we will be going forward again.
Okay,
then everyone, have a lovely summer, everyone.
Take
as well.
care. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. And now it's your turn to practice your English. If you would like to send us a voice message, you can do that by going to speakpipe.com. That's speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. Remember, if you use that service, you only have 90 seconds to leave your message. If you prefer email, you can reach me, Craig, Craig, at inglespodcast.com. If you're interested in paid courses to help you with your English, you can go to the online store at store.mencioningles.net. And before I say goodbye this week, I want to thank all of you who are helping us by supporting this podcast on Patreon. You too can join our Patreon program for as little as $1.20 per month, and that includes the VAT tax. By doing so, you get instant access to recent transcriptions of this podcast, so you can read every word. For more information, go to patreon.com, Patreon, patreon.com/Ingles podcast. Now, I don't have time, unfortunately, to mention everybody who's supporting us on Patreon, but special thanks to our most recent supporters who have joined us this month, and they are Judith Honfi, Alberto Valverde Conde, Jorge Alberto Borda, Miguel Salazar, Oscar Niera, and Maite Moreno. Thank you to all of you and everybody who is supporting us on Patreon. And of course, many, many thanks to Lynn, who joined me this week. If you enjoyed the podcast, please tell your friends so that more people can listen to us. And until next time, it's goodbye from me. Take care. Have a wonderful week. The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.